My name is Elias Booker. I'm 26, raised on a sunburnt patch of land in Mississippi where cows outnumber people and your worth is measured by the calluses on your hands. I grew up in a family that called hard work a virtue and ambition a sin, so when I landed a temp job at Davenport Dynamics, surrounded by suits, glass walls, and Ivy League accents, I knew I didn't belong. My boss's son reminded me of that the moment I stepped in, loud enough for the whole damn floor to hear. I've always been the quiet one, the punchline, the outsider trying not to take up space. But I saw something I wasn't meant to, and now I can't unsee it. There's a contract buried under layers of lies, and someone's willing to kill to keep it buried. And it all started the moment a woman in heels leaned in, smiled like sin, and whispered, "They're going to ruin you first." The lobby echoed like a church. Cold. Overdesigned. Someone had paid thousands to make the place feel worth millions. I stood in my best button-down, stiff with starch and half a size too tight. My boots were clean, but they couldn't hide the fact they'd walked through fields and not boardrooms. A security badge clipped to my chest read Booker, like it needed to remind everyone I was temporary. Then his voice hit. "Look alive, y'all. The stinky country boy is here." I didn't have to look to know it was Quentin Davenport. Laughter snapped around the room. A woman in pencil skirt and heels turned to smirk at me. Someone else coughed, hiding another chuckle. I didn't flinch. Not on the outside. You grow up with siblings who treat silence as weakness, you learn to wear your skin like armor. A receptionist gave me a clipboard. "Fill this and wait by the glass," she said, eyes already scanning past me. I took the clipboard. My hand trembled. I tucked it behind my back. A voice echoed in my mind, "Granddads, they won't respect you till they fear losing something to you." Noted. I moved to the glass wall near the edge of the lobby. Outside, the Dallas skyline gleamed. Inside, it felt like every fluorescent light pointed at me. Halfway through the paperwork, I paused. Page 6, Client Clearance Acknowledgement. Below, a signature already sat. Charles D. Davenport. I blinked. But the form was dated today. And the CEO was still in London, at the Sustainability Summit. That's what the internal newsletter said. That's what the HR lady joked about at orientation. Why was his name on a clearance form for a client site survey that hadn't even started? I leaned closer. The signature didn't look scanned. It looked digitally inserted. Before I could react, a man in a fitted blue suit, data manager or risk analyst, couldn't tell, snatched the clipboard from my hand. "Glitch," he said, smooth as butter. "These get mixed up all the time. Don't overthink it, Booker." He called me by name but didn't look me in the eye. He left. Clipboard in hand. Sweat climbed down my back. Across the lobby, Quentin watched me. He wasn't smiling anymore. My assigned desk was on floor 9. They'd put me in an isolated cubicle that faced a support pillar. It was quiet. Too quiet. No welcome packet. No intro tour. Just a laptop blinking on. I pressed the spacebar. The screen flared white. Remote access enabled, system monitoring in progress. I didn't click anything. It did it by itself. A webcam light blinked, on, then off. Goosebumps crawled down my spine. I spun in the chair. No one around. I opened the system tray. Hidden software running, Ghost Trace. Encryption protocol dated 3 years old. Nothing I recognized, and I'd built firewalls on the side to pay rent back home. I unplugged the Ethernet cord. Email alert. One message. No subject. No sender. Just 6 words. "Go back to the farm, Booker." I blinked. The email deleted itself. No trace in the sent folder. No logs. Nothing. I stared at the screen, heart hammering. "Nobody notices a ghost until it starts moving furniture," I muttered. My hands didn't stop shaking until lunch. Even then, I couldn't finish the sandwich. Not with the feeling that a camera was still watching me, just out of sight. I left early. No one stopped me. Outside, the heat wrapped around me like something alive. A breeze kicked dust from the sidewalk. I took the train home. Halfway through the ride, I noticed the same black SUV I'd seen parked across from the building earlier. It turned when we did. It stopped when we stopped. I got off 3 stations early. Walked 2 miles back. Just in case. My apartment door wasn't locked. I always double-checked. 3 clicks. Always. Inside, nothing was stolen. Just moved. Drawers open. Curtains shifted. My backpack had been zipped wrong. The charger was coiled counterclockwise. I always went clockwise. On the kitchen counter, a manila envelope. No return address. Inside, a printed version of the clearance form I'd seen earlier, signature and all. Underneath, one line in bold red ink. He won't take the fall. You will. That's when I heard the front steps creak outside. Rubber soles. Heavy. Getting closer. I reached for the drawer. It was empty. That's when I heard a car pull up outside, and the footsteps coming straight to my door. I didn't move. Footsteps paused at the door. A breath. Heavy. Waiting. Then, nothing. Just wind brushing past the windows like a warning. The kind that makes animals go quiet before a storm. I stepped forward, slow, 1 foot at a time. Peered through the peephole. Hallway empty. But the envelope still sat open on the counter. He won't take the fall. You will. I grabbed it, shoved it inside my jacket, and left. Cut to morning. Davenport Tower stood gleaming in the early light, windows polished like knives. The air buzzed around it, too quiet to be real. Like the whole building was holding its breath. Inside, the receptionist didn't meet my eyes. Neither did the guards. Not one person said my name. But I felt it. Their stares. As if I'd brought something rotten with me. 3rd floor. Executive Conference Wing. Today was the Vega Holdings presentation, top-tier client, 7 figures in contracts, and they had decided last minute to pull me in. I just carry copies, I said when Quentin raised an eyebrow. You carry more than that, he muttered, leaning close. You carry your damn stink. He smiled at the others. Fake, polished, camera ready. I said nothing. Just handed out the binders. Quentin pulled the chair out for the guest of honor. She walked in like she owned oxygen. Marisol Vega. Slate gray suit. Heels so sharp they clicked like threats. Her gaze cut across the room. Every exec straightened their spine. She barely looked at Quentin. But she looked at me. Too long. I moved forward, placed a folder in front of her. Her fingers brushed mine, intentionally. Her nails were immaculate. Cold. Then she leaned in. Whispered. You don't belong here and neither do the lies they're hiding. My stomach dropped. She pulled back. Smiled. Like she'd said something about the weather. The meeting rolled forward like it hadn't detonated my brain. Charles Davenport arrived 15 minutes late. No apology. Just a nod to his son and a tap on the screen. Let's review the adjusted land survey options. Click. The projector lit up. File name, Phase Clearance Document V3. Not the one I submitted. I froze. This version wasn't clean. It had Vega Holdings tagged as pre-approved for expedited divestment. With forged timestamps. Coordinates. Environmental analysis. All fabricated. Someone had inserted this. Someone at the top. Charles turned just slightly toward me. Eyes like a blade behind his glasses. Don't speak. That look said everything. Across the room, Marisol didn't flinch. She slid a pen between her fingers and tapped the table. Tap. 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 Like a countdown. I tried to swallow, but my throat had turned to sand. Quentin kept smiling. Too much teeth. I checked my copy again. The page numbers had been switched, subtle but strategic. One clause had been changed to imply Vega had requested site divestment. That was a lie. A dangerous one. Because if approved, it meant her company would lose land rights and face federal audit. A setup. I reached for my pen. Just to steady my hand. The screen behind Charles flickered once. A glitch? No. A redirect. Marisol's eyes narrowed. The presentation ended. No one clapped. Charles closed the laptop. Thank you all. Vega Holdings Trust is our top priority. He turned toward her. Anything to add? She smiled again, slow, like she was bored with the game. She stood. Took a long step toward me. Reached out, almost like she'd fix my collar. But instead, her lips moved. Soundless. I read her lips. Run. Then she walked out of the room. I backed out with the last of the execs, heart thundering. Quentin grabbed my sleeve. You screw this up and you won't get a second shot. His grip tightened. This isn't a farm. There's no fence to lean on when you're tired. I yanked my arm free. Downstairs, I took the service elevator. Faster. No glass walls. As the doors slid shut, I caught my reflection. Sweat on my temple. Collar wrinkled. Eyes like I didn't recognize myself. That's the thing about paranoia. It doesn't feel like fear. It feels like truth you haven't caught up with yet. I didn't go back to my cubicle. I walked straight out the front doors. Back into the blinding sun. Heat pulsing off concrete. And that's when I saw her. Marisol Vega. Waiting by the curb. Alone. No car. She didn't wave. But she tilted her head. A signal. And when I stepped close, she didn't smile. Did you see the real file? She asked. I nodded. Then you already know, she said. Know what? She handed me a flash drive. Silver. No label. About the man who signed it. And what he's willing to bury. A car pulled up. Black. Tinted windows. She climbed in. Window rolled down just enough. Use it wrong, you're dead. Use it right, they're dead. Then she was gone. Marisol leaned back, smiled at me like she knew my future, and mouthed one silent word, run. The flash drive felt heavier than metal should. I kept my fist around it as I walked, like letting go meant something in me would collapse. Marisol's warning replayed in my skull like a fault line ready to split. Run. But running doesn't fix anything. That's something my father used to say. If a man chases you with a lie, he'll chase you twice as hard with the truth. I didn't know which one was after me. Maybe both. I scanned the street, clean sidewalks, morning traffic, buses groaning through the heat. Normal. Too normal. That unsettling quiet right before a fence post snaps and the herd stampedes. Cut scene. A bus thundered past, breaking the moment. I headed into the station, swiped my card, walked down the escalator. Stood near the yellow line. My reflection in the train window looked pale. Wrong. I got off 2 stops early. Habit now. The black SUV wasn't behind me this time, but a different car slowed when I crossed the street, a gray sedan, windows tinted just dark enough. I turned. It turned. Cut scene. Inside Davenport Tower, the day rolled on like no one had almost died the night before. I slipped into the building through a side entrance, head down, badge already clipped. The guards didn't look at me. That was the first tell. People always stare at the guy they want to blame. Ignoring him? That's worse. That means they expect him to disappear. My desk felt colder than usual. The laptop hummed. I plugged in the flash drive. A folder popped up instantly. No encryption. No password. Just one file. Project Albatross, internal audit logs. My veins iced. That was the name of the fake land survey. The one Charles had signed. The one that could sink Vega Holdings. I clicked. Line after line of metadata streamed across the screen. Times. Locations. IP addresses. Approval chains. Altered signatures. Digital fingerprints disguised under administrator-level access. Then a pattern. Dawson Price's login credentials used to plant the forged files. I whispered, "No way." But every digital trail led to him. It was too neat. Too clean. A deception constructed so carefully it almost bragged about itself. I didn't hear Dawson until he leaned against the cubicle wall. "Trouble keeping up, Booker?" I clicked my screen off. "Just catching up on training modules." "On a drive that isn't company property?" My pulse jumped. He smiled, not kind, not hostile. Something in between, like he was testing me for fractures. "You should stay in your lane," he said. "Last guy who didn't well, no one remembers his name." I forced a laugh. "People don't remember folks like me anyway." "Good," he said. "Then we understand each other." Cut scene. I left the floor. Fast. Elevator down to ground level. Walked until the building became a reflection in another building's glass. Then farther. Farther still. Because someone was tracking me. Not metaphorically. Literally. A ping hit my phone. Unknown number. "Stop digging or you're done." I turned the device off. Removed the SIM. Shoved both inside a trash can near a bus bench. "You're shaking," a voice behind me said. I spun. Renee Calloway stood there, hair pulled back, blazer crisp, breath slightly uneven like she'd rushed to catch me. "How did you find me?" I asked. "Because I know what it looks like when someone's running without moving," she said. "It's a look I used to wear. Not comforting." "Renee, someone broke into my apartment last night." "I know." The world tilted. "How the hell would you know?" She didn't answer. Instead, she took my arm and dragged me toward an alley, away from pedestrians, from cameras. "This isn't a whistleblower situation," she whispered. "This is a cleanup plan. And you're the mop." My throat closed. Renee scanned the street again. "Listen. Dawson isn't the one you should worry about. I just saw proof he forged the files." "No," she said. "You saw proof someone wants you to think he did." Cut scene. We ducked behind a dumpster as a patrol car rolled down the alley. Slow. Searching. But police weren't looking for criminals today. They were looking for the convenient story. The one Charles wanted fed to them. Renee waited until the car turned the corner, then exhaled. "I didn't know they'd move this fast. I thought we had more time." "We?" She bit her lip. "You weren't supposed to be in that meeting, Elias. Quentin only dragged you in because he wanted a laugh. That single moment screwed up an entire plan. You got a front row seat you were never meant to have." "What plan?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pushed a folded piece of paper into my hand. Coordinates. A time. A warehouse district near the Trinity River. "Go there after dark," she said. "Someone will explain everything." Renee. She stepped back. "And for what it's worth, my dad used to tell me, truth is a blade. It cuts everyone who tries to hold it." Then she walked away. Fast. Cut scene. I didn't go home. Couldn't. I took a bus to a different part of town, rented a room in a cheap motel under cash. Sat on the edge of the bed with the flash drive still in my fist. Was I really going to follow coordinates from a woman who barely spoke to me 2 days ago? Yes. Because whoever broke into my place had left everything untouched, except the knives. Those had been rearranged. Handle direction reversed. A message. Someone wanted me scared. Someone wanted me compliant. I showered. Dressed. Left before sunset. Walked the last half-mile to the river. Wind colder now. Metallic. The kind that warns you bad things happen after dark. The warehouse loomed ahead. Lights off. Door cracked open. I stepped inside. Wood creaked. Shadows breathed. Then a voice from deeper in the dark. About time you showed up, Booker. My heart slammed. That email you got? The surveillance? The break-in? A figure stepped into the faint light. That was the soft warning, he said. Next time, they won't miss. That's when I heard a car pull up outside, and the footsteps coming straight to my door. Renee's words still echoed when I closed the motel door behind me. The lock clicked. Hard. Final. I zipped the flash drive into my jacket pocket. The room reeked of stale carpet and anxiety. I paced beside the single bed. Light from the neon sign outside slid through the blinds. Thin bars of red and blue. They painted me like a criminal already tied to the crime. I didn't trust silence anymore. I dialed the burner number Renee had given me. No answer. Just static. Enough to know I'm alone. For now. Cut scene. Evening air scraped my skin when I stepped outside. August wind carrying sweat and asphalt heat. The city felt heavy. Watching. Waiting. I moved fast, to a diner 30 blocks away. Oversized coffee. Black. Bitter. Something about its smell tasted like survival. I opened the drive again. The folder, Project Albatross, internal audit logs. One file, chain of custody.pdf. I scanned it. Signatures. Approvals. Timestamps. A timeline. Forged. Manipulated. The first timestamp, 2:14 a.m. Second, 2:17. A third, 2:20. All while Charles Davenport was at the summit in London. Fade in, doubt. Fade out, certainty. My phone vibrated. Unknown, stop running numbers you don't own. I slammed the screen off. That was the line. They weren't just watching. They were hunting. Cut scene. I ducked out the back door of the diner, wrapped my coat around my face. Head down. Walked 3 blocks. Then felt it, a shadow stretching across the sidewalk before me. I turned. The man faded inside the rainy night. No footsteps behind. No engines revving. But I felt the weight of being watched. Cold. Relentless. I slipped into a narrow alley, heart pounding. Trash bags by a chain-link fence. I crouched. Checked my pockets. Flash drive. Wallet. Phone inside the trash can, gone. Funny, I thought. They take the phone, but leave the keys. Maybe they want me to walk around naked, without signal. Alone. A voice, low, gravel-thin, drifted from the darkness. Booker. My body froze. Then movement. One step forward. A silhouette under a flickering streetlight. Face hidden by rim of a cap. Take this, the figure hissed, tossed a small device. Cold metal clinked. Then footfalls retreated. I bent, picked it up. A USB stick. No label. No box. Just a bare metal shell. I tucked it inside my coat, next to the flash drive. I heard sirens in the distance. Emergency vehicle. Maybe coincidence. I stood, tried to breathe. Smelled rain. Heard asphalt hiss under tires. Saw movement. A car, tinted windows, unmarked, idled at the corner. Headlights off. I walked faster, hair plastered to my forehead. I ignored it. Kept moving. Cut scene. Back in the motel. I sat on the bed. Hands trembling. I unplugged the second device. A single file, clean slate.mp4. My breath hitched when I clicked play. Static. Then a familiar voice. Dawson Price. Name on screen. He spoke behind a distorted mask of noise. You did good tonight. He signed. The albatross falls. We all go home. Then silence. No sound after. Frame frozen on a dark office corridor. Suddenly, glass shattering. Footsteps. A muffled scream. Then cut. Black screen. Then words, file deleted. User logged out. My pulse raced. My teeth ground. The file disappeared. Just like they tried to erase me. I closed my eyes. My jaw tight. A quote popped in my mind, one I heard during long nights on the farm as a kid: a lie is a stone that sinks only when the truth is heavy enough to float it. I opened my eyes. The motel room was quiet. Too quiet. I grabbed my jacket. Packed light, the 2 drives, a comb, a lighter. I left. No look back. Outside, rain started, slow drops first. Then heavier. Like the sky was dumping years of regretting on me. Streetlights glowed hazy. Steam curled from manholes. The city breathed, alive, ripe with danger. I walked toward the river district, to the warehouse located by the old docks. Each footstep echoed. Slick pavement reflected the orange glow of lamps. I kept looking over my shoulder. Expected a figure to emerge. But nothing came. Until I reached the warehouse. Door slightly ajar. Inside, darkness hugged the corners. A single bulb swayed in the middle, heavy chain groaning in protest. I stepped in. Shoes slapped against concrete. A chair in the center. One bulb overhead. Silence pressed. Thick. Then movement. Footsteps soft. But heavy. A man stepped into the light. Pale face. Ice cold. He smiled. Slow. Skin stretched tight across his skull. You made it, he said. Voice low, calm, heavier than any gun. Who are you? He shrugged. Part of the cleanup crew. Quote, truth isn't for everyone to handle. A laugh. Harsh. He walked around me. Circle. Predator eyes. See, Booker, he said. They'll break you. Or bend you. Or bury you. But you shouldn't have found what you shouldn't have. He stopped. Close enough I could smell his aftershave of cheap. Bitter. Iron. He raised his arm. A gun. Right to my forehead. I closed my eyes. Time slowed. Bullet glint. Metal cold like death's promise. But nothing came. A sudden slam. The gun flew from his hand. Far back. A shout, rough, angry. Heavy boots. Then shouting. Renee. She burst in. Blinding light behind her. She grabbed my arm. Dragged me to the door. Move, she hissed. We ran as one. Bullets hit the metal door, splintering wood. The echo cracked the night. Rain poured through the smashed panels. Thunder clapped. We didn't stop until tires roared, engine fading. Renee glanced at me. Rain plastered her hair. Eyes fierce. You saw them, she said. You heard them. We're playing for keeps now. I nodded. Rain dripped from my eyelashes. I thought of that old country saying again, when darkness chases you, keep walking toward the dawn. But I wasn't sure dawn still existed. That's when I heard a car pull up outside, and the footsteps coming straight to my door. Rain had chased us through the city, but inside the warehouse light, it felt like the sky broke just over me. Bullets hit the metal door, each strike echoing like a threat. I tasted fear. Tangy. Iron in my mouth. Renee pulled me into the alley before the black SUV could turn the corner. Rain hammered the concrete. Neon signs flickered. I stared at her. She didn't say a word. Just nodded. The words were in her eyes, we go loud, or we don't go at all. So we moved fast. At 2:17 a.m., I touched the first teller machine. Real crime investigators use that timestamp, the hour when everything turns on its head. We met in a cramped motel room. The lamps were dim. The shades drawn tight. No windows. 4 walls and a bed. Renee laid out the plan in clipped tones, leaked the files to every credible news outlet, plus a whistleblower drop for federal agencies. We'd ride the wave together, or we'd drown. She said, information wants to be free, and so do we. I nodded. But inside, the old farm boy still feared the flood. I plugged in the flash drive. The projector glowed. The file scrolled, forged signatures, environmental impact falsified, cover UPS. Names. Dates. Money trails. The kind that could burn down an empire. At the bottom, a hidden folder, Offshore Trust/Alibi Corp. I closed my eyes. Felt the weight settle like stones. 30 minutes later, we sat in a beat-up sedan, matte black paint and out-of-place presents. Hidden cameras, burner phones, stolen VPN access. Everything we used could be traced, but we didn't care. Renee said, they treat power like a shield. We'll treat truth like a weapon. Engine started. Cold. Smooth. Cut scene. Davenport Tower still loomed when we circled back, glass and steel programmed for arrogance. 2 guards at the side entrance. I swapped my badge for a clean one, vendor sticker, broken printer parts. I smelled stale toner and lino. I passed the lobby's do not look line. Hearts don't pound there. Money does. Elevator doors opened to floor 12. I followed the hallway until the lights died and only emergency lamps glowed orange. Concrete corridor. Manhole hiss. The electric smell of damp walls. Renee used a fake key card. The door clicked open. A server closet. Stale air. Heat hum. A rack of machines standing like silent judges. I crouched. Took out a small device, a drive rip tool. Plugged it into the central hub. Fingers working fast. Fingers that once split wood in Mississippi fields. Coordinates flashed. Upload started. Green bar creeping. Behind me, silence. A soft exhale. I spun. Dawson Price. Eyes glassy. Badge in hand. A weak grin. You really thought you could dance in my house without the music stopping? My heart jerked. Cold sweat. Renee moved. But Dawson half raised his gun. His finger hovered. Time slowed. Memory of Dad's words, a man's worth isn't in the fence he builds, it's in the land he refuses to abandon. I charged. No thought. Just motion. Slip. Grab. The gun went off. Red light. Shotgun blast. Muzzle flash. The world screamed. Renee pulled me down. Screech. Sparks. Metal door. Security floodlights. Sirens. Alarms. Green upload bar froze. Cut. We ran, through corridors, stairwells dripping with emergency red light, down into the parking garage. Tires screeched. Doors slammed. We split up. She took the exit. I ducked behind a dumpster. Rain poured. Footsteps cracked over asphalt. Then a car's engine. Tire spin. Headlights off. I heard her voice, "Go." I climbed through the driver window as bullets pounded the hood. Rear view cracked. Windshield shattered like ice under heel. Engine roared. I floored it. Splashing through a puddle. Red glass trailing from the hood. Rain washed it away. Cut scene. At 4:03 a.m., the files went live. A cascade, encrypted drop sites, leaker forums, news inboxes. Headlines popped up: internal audit scandal at Davenport Corp., Vega contract fraud exposed, shockwaves through corporate America. Phone buzzed. Hundreds of unread messages. Emails. Texts. Notifications. Prayers and warnings bundled in digital screams. I stared at the screen. Someone wrote, "You changed nothing, boy. You just lit the fuse." Renee called. One word, safe. I exhaled. But the air was too thin. No relief. Because somewhere inside that blast, somebody started the final countdown. My phone died. Battery drained. I dropped it. Outside, rain returned. Cold. Steady. Unforgiving. I opened my coat. The 2 drives inside, still there. Unscathed. I walked to the rear seat. Locked the door. Rain tapped glass. A rhythm like a heartbeat. I looked at the skyline, distant lights. Tall, sharp. Judging. I whispered to the dark. If they want war, they've signed the contract. And then I heard a car pull up outside, footsteps against wet asphalt, slides of metal against metal. I didn't look. I didn't need to. The courthouse hallway smelled like polished wood and sweat. Reporters lined the walls. Cameras aimed like rifles. I felt exposed. I didn't speak first. I waited until the gavel banged. Then silence. Then the judge spoke, "All charges stand. Defendant Charles Davenport, you are under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice." Flashbulbs. Shouts. The world twisting red and white. Outside, the rain had stopped. The city stood gray and cold, like a corpse washed clean. I stood under a street lamp. My suit jacket hung heavy on my shoulders. The files in my coat were zipped tight. I exhaled. Steam mingled with breath. They called me a country boy. They called me Stinky. But tonight, the stench belonged to them. A reporter asked, "Mr. Booker, did you expect this outcome?" I hesitated. Then said, "Truth doesn't belong to the powerful. It belongs to whoever dares to carry it." Cameras snapped. People gasped. Words trailed after me. Inside a car a block away, I found Renee waiting, hood up, eyes tired but focused. She slid over. "Safe," she said. We didn't speak. Just sat. Engine idling. Rain glimmered on the roof. She reached over, touched my hand. Cold. "You did right," she said. I nodded. Weeks later, quiet. The newsroom buzz died down. The building bosses replaced. Audits launched. Shell companies collapsed. I visited the farm back in Mississippi. The land smelled like dirt and rain. Honest smells. Sunlight cut across the old barn. My boots kicked up dust. I closed my eyes. Felt the land under my feet. Solid. Real. Dad used to say, some debts are worth paying, even if you bleed for them. I understood that now. Back in Dallas, I started a small firm. Legit. Transparent. I hired people without privilege. People who wore worn boots like me. People who smelled like soil and sweat. We built small houses. Clean permits. Honest work. One morning, a worker passed me a coffee. Black. Bitter. He said, "We did good work today." I nodded. I tasted hope. At night, sometimes I lie awake, the city skyline glowing beyond my window. I don't forget what happened. The whistles. The threats. The gun pressed to my temple. But I remember this: power rots from the inside. Truth burns it down from the outside. I used to be the outsider. The unwanted. The punchline. Now I'm the man who held the mirror up to the monster and watched it shatter. And as long as I stand on this dirt, I'll keep building. Keep digging. Keep walking forward when darkness tries to catch me. Because in the end, light doesn't come from power. It comes from the ones brave enough to refuse fear.